Hey, what's going on, y'all? RJ here with CV Tech, and today I'll be doing a comparison between the LG X Charge and the LG X Power. Both of these here are on Boost Mobile, and this here should be a very interesting comparison. Let's go ahead here and get these phones turned on here, and we will go ahead and get into the testing screen. Okay, so the X Charge has a 5.5 inch display, while the X Power has a 5.3 inch display. Let's go ahead and go into CPU Z here, and we will see what we're dealing with here with the processing department. And so we'll look at the X Charge first. Now the X Charge has a 1.5 gigahertz MediaTek MT6750 octa-core processor with a Mali T860 GPU. Scroll over here, you got a it says 5.3 inch, but it's actually a 5.5 inch display. 720p by 1280, 277 pixels per inch with 2 gigabytes of RAM, and it has 16 gigabytes of ROM with 8.59 available out of the box. Now over here on the X Power, we do have a slightly larger 1.8 gigahertz MediaTek MT6755 octa-core processor with a Mali T860 GPU, a 5.3 inch display, 720p, 277 pixels per inch with 2 gigabytes of RAM and 16 gigabytes of ROM with 9.87 out of the box. Now let's go on back home here and get out of this. Go into Geekbench 4 and we'll see what kind of tests we ran between these two devices. So we'll go into history here on both of these and we'll pull up the latest test. So if you look here on the X Charge, you got 604 single core score and 2215 multi-core score. On the X Power, got much higher, or a little bit higher on the single charge, or on the single core score of 681 and 1755 multi-core score. So let's go ahead and get out of here and we'll take a quick look here into benchmark, and you will see right here that the LG X Charge got 39,154 and 41,106 here on the X Power. So let's go back home. We'll clear all of these out and we will get in here with this comparison starting now. That was the X Charge. Go into YouTube. That was the X Charge again. Go into calculator. That was the X Power. Calendar. That was the X Charge. Go into clock. That was, I believe, the X Power by just a fraction of a second there. Let's go into Google Plus. So that was the X Charge. Let's go into the camera. And I went to the front camera, but I think the X Charge had it. You can let me know below if I got that wrong. IMDb. And that's going to be the X Charge. Let's go into Instagram. And the X Charge took it. Let's go into Play Store. That was the, oh wow, I was close. I said the X Power maybe by just a little bit. Go into settings. That was the X Power. Let's go into Snapchat. That was the X Charge. Let's go into Twitter. That was the X Charge. Let's go into Periscope. That was identical. Let's go into Temple Run 2. So we're going to see here how the gaming performs on both of these devices. Like I said, the X Power has a slightly bigger processor, but in most tests here, the X Power has, or the X Charge has taken it. So we'll see here how gaming does. Yes. Looks like it's going to be the X Power. It's going to take this first game here. Yep, X Power took it. Let's go ahead and get out of here. Go into Subway Surfer. So it looks like that this may go to the X Charge. Yep, and the X Charge took it there. And now we'll go ahead and back out of here and go into Sonic Dash. Google Chrome has stopped. Okay. So we'll sit here and wait and see what happens. It's going to be close. It's going to be a close one, it looks like. I don't know who's going to take it. And it is the X Power that took it. So, these phones here are back and forth on this comparison test. I mean, they're both solid devices. This phone has not been released very long at all. The X Power came out some time back. And honestly, I mean, power-wise, both of them are pretty close together. The X Charge did take, most of the wins, but, it was kind of like a back-and-forth thing there. Let's go ahead now, go into the recent apps, and we'll do the multitasking deal here, and we will see what happens. And that the first one seemed to be gone, so we'll just get rid of that on the X Charge and go into YouTube. So it has to be reloaded on both of them. That was the X Charge. Go back home. He has to go back here to calculator. That was the X Charge by a fraction, I would believe. Let's go into calendar. X Charge. Let's go into clock. That was the X Power. Google Plus. X Power. Camera. I was very close. Very, very close. Let's go into IMDb. A little slow there on IMDb, but that was the X Charge. Let's go into Instagram. That was the X Charge. Let's go into Play Store. That was a tie. What happened? Okay. Go into settings. That was the X Power. Back and forth here. Snapchat, that was already open on the X Power. Let's go ahead and go in back into Twitter. X Charge, had to reload there on the X Power. Periscope. X Power. Back and forth, back and forth. Go into Temple Run 2. Both of them had to be reloaded. Now, a lot of times on the X Charge here, I have found that the X Charge keeps the games open. But in this test here, it seemed to have had to reload the game. So it looks like that the X Power is going to take it once again here on this opening of the game. And it did. As you see right there, we'll go back home and we will just open up, maybe we'll open up Sonic Dash one more time. And ready to play here already on the X Charge. We'll have to reload here on the X Power. So as you can see, it's a back and forth deal here between these two devices. I mean, both of them are still really good phones. With the X Charge, you get a more powerful 13 megapixel camera and an 8 megapixel camera here on the LG X Power. On the front, you do have a front-facing flash on the X Charge with a slightly bigger screen. However, the screen, in my opinion, does not look much difference between the two. I mean, the X Charge may be a bit more vibrant. I have noticed that the rear speaker on the X Charge is better than the X Power in sound quality. So this is just my little comparison here between the LG X Charge and the LG X Power. So both of them are good devices still. The X Power still holds on. Hard to really make a clean win here on these two devices because both of them were very solid in performance. And it was kind of back and forth between the apps, and reopening of the apps was kind of back and forth. So I'll let y'all make the decision and see what y'all think is faster, the X Charge or the X Power. If this was helpful and informative in any way, hit that like button. Any questions or comments you may have, leave it down below in the comment section. I'll get back with you as soon as possible. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I'd appreciate it. Y'all have a good one, and we'll see y'all in the next video.